This might be one of the most interesting sci-fi concepts I've seen in my entire life. But what surprised me is how much it pulls you in once it gets going, especially by the end of the movie. You are thrown right into the concept of the movie, and it is very, very known that this is an astronaut in space. We don't know who he is yet. We are just introduced with the idea that there is a man in space and everyone around him has died. It was just enough confusion to keep you watching. That mixed with the right amount of intrigue keeps you wanting to see every single plot that follows. The hook is not the fastest hook, kind of like an Interstellar vibe. Interstellar, you have to give the movie a chance before you're finally hooked and you fully understand what is happening in the movie. It's a very similar take or strategy that the directors and the writers use for this movie, but it also has its own twist and it does give a new essence. The concept is a concept that we have seen in movies prior to this, but the take on astrophage and the dying sun and the reason behind the sun dying is a completely brand new take, and it is very unique. I very much like how they use this new substance in the movie to explain why the sun is dying. It honestly kind of made it easier to understand with it being a brand new introduction to a brand new substance that we don't have in our actual real life world. Astrophage feels extremely unique. It is 100% a brand new concept that someone created. It is one of the coolest substances and materials that I've ever seen in my life in a movie. I can tell how much time, creativeness that went into this idea behind the sun dying. Kept me hooked, and it kept me wanting to know the next step. The relatability and the personality traits within this movie were 100% something that a lot of people can relate to. It is based off of a school teacher. He's just like all of us, but he's kind of thrown into the situation that a lot of us wouldn't even be prepared for, which he was not prepared for. He's just this funny, kind of quirky, awkward guy that has a big brain on him, but he never really practiced nor went through with the dream that he was supposed to go through with. The character growth is out of this world. I'd say every scene, there's a step forward for him in terms of his growth as a human being. He starts off as this unconfident guy that doesn't know what he's doing, and he honestly didn't even want to do what he was doing. But step by step, you see how slowly but surely he grows into a better and more experienced astronaut or scientist, because that is what he is. It kept me invested for sure, especially the relatability to the character that I had. I feel that that take on the movie and that angle was perfect coming from the directors and the writers, because if you can't relate to a character, you don't want to watch the movie, and they completely nailed that. They got it on the nose. Ryland Grace is this really awkward guy that is thrown into a situation and thrown into a spot that none of us would want to be in. All of the people around him that he knew completely died, and he has no recollection or memory as to why he's even in space floating around, and slowly but surely he's forced to remember everything from his past and do something he was not even trained to do, become an astronaut, which is insane if you think about it. He's just a random scientist or a science teacher with a lot of knowledge, but nowhere near the amount of knowledge that you would need to be an astronaut and to be thrown into space by yourself. He was thrown into this completely against his will. They said that he was their last resort to save the world, and he said he couldn't do it mentally and physically. I think a lot of us actually would say the exact same thing. Imagine you're randomly thrown into a situation where it's life or death. You are guaranteed to never come back to Earth, and you're gonna die in space, and on top of that, the entire fate of the world lies on your shoulders. That's something most of us would turn down, and anyone that says that's false is honestly lying. And that is exactly why there's that relatability factor within the watcher and the main character, Ryland Grace. When he meets Rocky, the alien, when he first pops up on screen, it's gonna sound funny, but I actually got jump scared. I thought he was gonna be this scary big alien. Obviously, they did not take that angle on the whole alien thing. Automatically, the dynamic is funny. It's a very light take on aliens. Most movies make aliens as the antagonist. They kind of antagonize aliens. They make them evil. Oh, they want to take over the world. They want to kill you. This movie took a whole different outlook and take on aliens. This alien is an alien that's stuck in space in the exact same predicament as Ryland, and he is extremely lonely, just like Ryland. Slowly but surely, they end up becoming friends because he ends up figuring out a way to communicate with him. This is where the emotional aspect kicks in. As soon as you are able to relate to this small little rock alien and see that it is another living being that has thoughts, feelings, you start relating to him and also feeling sorry for him the same way you would feel sorry for Ryland Grace. That point where they become friends is the exact moment where every single emotional aspect that follows happens. It's kind of like a connection, a perfect puzzle piece. We don't see a lot of movies where the human is friends with the alien. It's extremely rare to see that. And for them to take this outlook onto this character called Rocky was beautiful. It was a breath of fresh air. The concept itself is just new, and that I think is what has made this movie so hyped and so loved by many. This movie is about friendship. The reason it works so well is going back to my previous consensus or my previous explanation as to why it works well, is because they are both in the exact same spot. They talk about their lovers, their loved ones, what they were like on their planet, what they did on their planet. He's teaching him how humans live, and that alone, the fact that Rocky can empathize with him and try to understand, and he has this desire to learn about this other species that he's never seen before, that alone gets you more connected to this character, Rocky. The science is handled very well. They are talking science and figuring out things, problem solving. They did it in a way where, yeah, they're using all these scientific words that most people wouldn't even understand, but at the same time, you understand what's going on. You're never lost. You're never thinking what's happening.
Sometimes I'll start a sentence and I don't even know where it's going. I just hope I find it along the way.
I really like these sequences because they're fun to watch. You want to know what's gonna happen. You want to know whether or not they're going to problem solve every single situation that they are in. And the execution and conclusion to each problem is perfect. It keeps you wanting to see the next thing. Will they figure out the real problem behind this entire issue that both planets are having? And there's always a payoff at the end. I'd say this is probably one of the most emotional movies that I have ever seen in my life. And it's really weird to say that, especially because the reason I was crying was for a reason that I never thought I'd be crying. In my life, I never thought I would be crying over a fictional alien character. As I said, throughout history, throughout movie history, cinema history, aliens have been made out to be the antagonists in almost every single alien movie. Rocky's that stamped character that I feel like we will always remember. People will always remember him as a very impactful and iconic character because for the first time in a very, very long time, I cannot remember the last time, I shed tears over an alien. A fictional alien and a human being. Never thought that would happen, and that alone was enough for me to say this movie's different, and I love it. This is exactly what cinema and what movies in 2026 need. We need different concepts. We need to take new looks, new ideas. Creativeness is the most important thing in filmmaking and in cinema, and if you do that and you execute it just as perfectly as this movie, you have yourself a masterpiece of a movie. And yes, I said a masterpiece. It is not overhyped. It is not just the internet inflating something. No, this movie is really as good as people say it is, and I heavily and strongly urge you to go watch this movie, please and thank you. In terms of the pacing, the movie does start off a little slow. Up until maybe halfway through the movie, it is a bit slower paced, but I don't think it's in a way where it's bad at all. I do believe that there are plot points within that slow paced part of the movie where you still want to continue watching. A little bit past halfway through the movie, there's a giant switch and it becomes more like a snowball effect pacing wise, and then you're like, wow, now I'm on the edge of my seat. I think it's very important for movies to start off slow. You need to have a payoff. It can't just jump right in. I'd say the overall flow of the movie was executed very well. I have no complaints in terms of pacing. They did it in the way they had to do it, and that's just what it was. No complaints whatsoever. Peak cinema. Absolute cinema. Make me into a meme right now. Do it. Do it right now. Do it right now. Come on. Anyway, I think the only thing, and I think this is probably an unpopular opinion, I do believe the ending should have been a tiny bit different. I don't necessarily love the idea of him living on this alien's planet now. I think it would have been a way better payoff for him to go back home, seeing the reactions of people thinking he was dead. Now, I don't hate the ending at all. I think the ending was very good still, but that's just my personal opinion. Still great payoff. I was pleased. The only scene that I was like, I don't like this was when he was a teacher. When it cuts to the little rock characters and they're all jumping around, I was like, bro, I could have gone without that scene, but maybe I'm just the fucking fun police. Now, it wasn't bad at all. I still laughed. I still smiled. My overall takeaway for this movie, point blank period, go watch it. This is exactly what Hollywood and cinema has needed for years. There's been that thing in movies, in certain movies, specifically sci-fi, fictional movies. There's that thing missing. Why don't movies feel the same anymore? Why don't they have that feeling I used to feel when I would go to the movies when I was 15 years old? This movie is that turned over and put into this absolute masterpiece called Project Hail Mary. Please go watch it. I'm gonna rate this movie a 9 out of 10. Extremely beautiful. Chef's kiss. Shout out to Ryan Gosling. Absolute beast of an actor. After this movie, I went and I watched Half Nelson. What a beautiful movie as well. It's been your boy Soros. Smash that like button, please and thank you, and subscribe. I love you guys. God bless. Have a beautiful day. Bye bye.